And welcome back to Saturday Report, everybody. I'm Rita Cosby. As the war wages on in Israel, lawmakers here at home are rallying to support the Israeli people and bring stranded Americans home. One of those lawmakers leading that effort is Florida Governor and 2024 Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. And the Florida governor joins us now. You know, Governor, last time I saw you was at ZOA, the Zionist Organization of America Gala in New York. ZOA, of course, is a huge supporter of Israel. I know that you are too. How fortuitous is it that here you and I are once again talking at this very pivotal moment for the state of Israel?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think, you go back to that gala, that was many years ago, but the threats that you've seen materialize, these were things we were all concerned about. That's why we wanted to have a strong U.S.-Israel relationship. That's why we've always been very stalwart that Israel has a right to defend itself and that Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state. And you'd think that most people would realize that that's better. A lot of Arab countries have now done peace deals with Israel in the intervening years, and yet you still have people like Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran. Their goal is to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, and that's not going to happen. Israel has a right to defend themselves to the hilt against Hamas. They will have my support. They will have America's support, and they need to have the Biden administration's support, not just today, but in the days and weeks to come, particularly as pressure starts to mount where the media and other people start to blame Israel for what's happening.
You know, to your point, Governor, do you believe this administration has been tepid? And clearly, the way they've handled Iran has not been strong enough. I think so many people believe, even the $6 billion, even though there's reports that they quietly are saying, okay, hold off on the money, but they won't say it publicly. They haven't enforced the sanctions on oil. What should they be doing with Iran? And do we really need to get tough? And maybe even, as some are even suggesting, go after their nuclear sites and really enforce those sanctions on oil. That's funding the war.
Well, I definitely think the financial sanctions. I mean, the $6 billion was an outrage. Doing a deal where you're negotiating with terrorists is going to have implications for the future, and then to give a terrorist regime $6 billion, that was a disgrace. But more money than that has flowed into Iran's coffers as a result of Biden going weak on the oil sanctions. Iran's made a fortune since he became president. They are not going to use that money to benefit the Iranian people. They're going to use that money to plow it into terrorism, Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist pursuits that they have around the world. They are committed to an ideology of militant Islam. They are committed to fomenting jihad throughout the Middle East and around the world. So anytime you're giving them any type of consideration like that, you know where that money is going to go. And so they've been trying to have a deal with Iran. They think they can have a rapprochement. It was fool's gold from the beginning. I opposed it from the day one of Biden's administration. You do need to tighten the screws on the Iranians because they're such ultimately the source of a lot of this problem. But, you know, Biden's also been lackluster throughout this whole thing. They didn't even wake him up. He didn't take the 2 a.m. phone call when the war broke out. Then he gets up in the morning. He's kind of missing in action throughout the weekend, isn't coming out, being forceful like the president need to be. And they've been dragging their feet on getting Americans out of Israel and bringing them back here. I had to issue an executive order a couple days ago in Florida where I've authorized rescue operations to bring Floridians back from Israel who got caught over there. Because, you know, we've got a lot of Israeli Americans that are Florida residents. We've just got a lot of people that go visit Israel, and I'm bringing them back. So our first flight is going to leave Israel today, and we anticipate passengers starting to arrive back safely in Florida on Sunday.
So the first flight is going to leave today. How many do you believe will be on that flight? And did you feel, just as you just expressed, that you needed to fill a void and take some action?
Absolutely. I mean, they dragged their feet on it generally, but then what they said was, well, maybe we'll do flights to Europe and then dump people in Europe. But these folks, they don't know. I mean, they can't just be dumped in Europe. And then they're going to charge everybody for that. So I'm just like, that doesn't work here. So we think that there's definitely hundreds of Floridians that are looking to get out. Now, this is still the Sabbath in Israel, so the communication is down. As soon as sundown happens, that'll be the end of the Sabbath, and I think we'll have a better a sense of just how many people. But we definitely anticipate there to be hundreds of people that we'll be able to bring back.
Bravo. That's wonderful to hear, Governor. You know, as a former naval officer, what role do you think that the U.S. needs to play to protect Israel? And should Israel get hit from the north? We know that there's been a little bit of action by Hezbollah on the north. But should Israel get squeezed from both directions? We're talking about Gaza and then obviously the northern part by Hezbollah. If that happens, do you see any circumstances where there may need to be greater U.S. involvement, even U.S. troops? The president says no combat troops, but is there a scenario you see?
Probably not, Rita. I think the reason is we've had a long-standing security relationship with Israel. I've been supportive of that. And part of the reason I've been supportive of it, one, they're a great ally, but two, Israel has never asked America to do for Israel what Israel has not been willing to do for itself. Everything we've done has complemented Israel defending itself. So they know what they have to do. They have the resources to do it, the manpower. We can obviously help with some of the resources, but I don't anticipate that would be a need, and I don't see that happening. I do think, though, tightening the screws on Iran will make a difference, particularly if they end up in conflict with Hezbollah. And I think just the moral clarity from the United States that Israel not only has a right to defend itself, they have a duty to eradicate Hamas from the face of the earth. If we stand strong on that, I think they have the wherewithal to be able to get the job done. My fear is just knowing how this is, and I know you know how this is, you're going to start to see the United Nations attack Israel, other countries. You're going to see elements of the Biden administration, like at the State Department, call for Israel to stand down. Heck, they put out tweets the weekend of the attacks that they had to delete, saying there should be a ceasefire and that Israel should not respond in kind. So that is, I think, the biggest danger, that Israel becomes isolated. And I saw in your previous segment, Israel is telling civilians in Gaza to leave the area where there's going to be war. Hamas is telling those civilians to stay in the area where there's going to be war because Hamas wants to use those civilians as human shields. Who is to blame in a situation like that? You have one country that's civilized. You have another country that's willing not only to butcher babies and execute elderly people, but use their own people as human shields.
And Governor, how concerned are you also about our wide open southern border? I mean, with so many people on the terror watch list who've entered our country just this year, how vulnerable do you believe we are right now, especially given what's happening in the world? I look at Ukraine, and now the Mideast is exploding. This is a very dangerous time, I believe, for America. Your thoughts about that?
I said before the Israeli-Hamas conflict, and I had been saying for months, there is going to be a terrorist attack on our country that we're going to be able to trace back to the southern border. You can't let in 7 million people illegally like Biden has. We don't know who these people are. We know they're coming from all over the world. We know people have come from China and Iran and Russia and other places in the Middle East. Do you think our enemies, knowing that vulnerability, just decided they don't want to exploit that? Of course they're exploiting it. So I think he's put the American people at great risk. And, you know, Hamas-Israel conflict, important. Obviously, what's going on in Europe is important. But in terms of a direct risk to the lives of the American people, I think that open border presents the biggest risk to the American people. I think you're going to see terrorism. We know we're seeing fentanyl overdoses go through the roof because the cartels are moving so much product there. And, you know, these elites in D.C., they just kind of shrug their shoulders. They're not lifting a finger to be able to secure our own country. I think it's been a total disgrace. As president, I've pledged on day one, we're declaring the border to be a national emergency. We're going to have resources there, including the military. We're going to stop the invasion. When people come illegally, when I'm president, I'm sending them back. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're never going to have a secure border. We're going to build the border wall, but we are going to lean in and use deadly force against the Mexican drug cartels. We're going to treat them as foreign terrorist organizations.
Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, good luck on the campaign trail. It's really great to see you again, and it's such an important moment in history. It truly is. Thank you.
Thank you.